So I know I'm a little late uploading this video. Yesterday was a really bad mental health day, so we're just gonna go with it, okay? What's going on, guys? My name is Nick, also known as Dunnderhead over on Twitch. Today I'd like to talk to you about 5.5 little tips that I use to save money. They're not going to make you rich. They're not gonna fix your money problems, but what they can do is put you in a better situation over the long term and give you the opportunity to save little bits of money here and there, building up a savings account. I say 5.5 because the half is a little bonus one that I'm not gonna recommend to everyone, but to the select few of you who will benefit from this, that's what the bonus will be for. This thing needs to move. I'm gonna smack the shit out of it. So I'm gonna try to make this one quick. We're just going to go through my journal, go through my notebook, and basically just make this as straightforward as possible. Now, when it comes to all of these savings tips, I want you to keep in mind that these can be varied based on how extreme you want to be in your saving, how aggressively you want to save, or how much you want to be able to keep flexibility. Now, I want to put out the reminder, I am not a financial advisor. I am not a financial professional. Asterisk, disclaimer, idiot with a Twitch stream, not professional. Moving on. So getting into number one, the best thing to get started saving some money is starting off with a basic budget. A very simple rule of thumb that I personally use is rounding up my bills and rounding down my income. Say, for example, your rent is $600 a month. Round that up to $700. I round it up to another $100 in case there are fluctuations in my bills that I don't have extra little bits of money laying around to be able to cover. That $100 is now a cushion for those fluctuations. On top of that, I tack on the rounding down of my income. Now, I personally round down my income significantly. I round down my income if I were working a 40-hour work week, I cut off 1 day of work, essentially tracking that I'm doing a 32-hour work week instead of 40 hours. Now, this is a little bit aggressive, and this is not something that I expect all of you to do. Realistically, you could probably cut it down by less than that, but in order to be able to save as much money as possible, that's what I do. If I can't afford my bills off of 32 hours a week, then I think I need to figure out where my money's going. Now, when it comes to the basic budgeting, I actually recommend including things such as your spending money, your gas, and your groceries. I know that some of that seems like common sense, like putting your groceries and your gas in your bills, but some people don't know that. Now, also including your spending money allows you to be able to limit yourself. Your basic budget is also a budget to make sure that you're not going over budget on your spending. If you want to save money, you need to not spend money. I'm not saying to go hog wild on your spending money in your budget, but allow a little bit, enough to be able to kind of tide you over for the month on your hobbies and just keep yourself sane. If you guys would like a better breakdown of a budget, you can join me on Twitch and ask me personal questions about my budget, and I can actually show you how I go about budgeting myself. Or leave a comment down in the description, leave a dollar sign or some kind of money emoji down in the comment section, and I'll make a video specific to budgeting. Number two is saving money when grocery shopping. When it comes to going grocery shopping, there are a few little things that you should know. Number one, buy store brand. Store brand is almost as good as regular. Sometimes you'll find some ones that are hit or miss, and I don't blame you if you want to buy the good stuff. On top of that, when you're going grocery shopping, certain stores have certain rewards programs based on if you buy their store brand. Hannaford, I think, is one of them. There's a couple of other stores out there. If you have a rewards card with them, you can actually save even more money on their store brand items, as opposed to buying the name brand items that are, number one, already expensive, and number two, you don't get discounts on. The next piece when saving money in a grocery store is looking at bulk prices. When you look at the price tag, I want you to look up in one of the corners. There's either going to be a little red or orange box that has another price in there. That is the bulk price. That is the price that the company or the store pays in bulk per certain amount of the item. In the case of like drinks, for example, Looking at sparkling waters that I buy at Market Basket. I buy the $1 bottles that are, one second. These ones are 33.8 fluid ounces. So these are $1 a piece. They also have a pack of them that you can get. They're a little smaller than this though. They're about half the size of this. I was looking at the prices and couldn't do the math in my head and figure out which one was worth more money and which one was less. So when you can't do the math in your head, that's what that bulk price is for. In the case of this, dollar per gallon is cheaper than the bulk, like 6 or 8 pack. So long story short, look at the bulk price when you're comparing two different sized items in the same category. Moving on, gas rewards programs. I go to Irving. So they have their Irving Rewards program. Using your Irving Rewards card, you can save 10 cents off the gallon every 50 gallons that you fill up. When gas is $3 a gallon and you're like, okay, I can get it for $2.90, that's a pretty sweet deal. Now, even better than that, if you connect it to your debit account like I have, every single time I swipe that card, I get 10 cents off the gallon. But I still get the 10 cents off the gallon every 50 gallons. So every 50 gallons, I get 20 cents off the gallon when I fill up my truck at the gas station. My truck's about 20 gallons in the tank, 21 gallons in the tank. So if I were to fill up my truck every week at $60 per tank, that's $240 a month, roughly. Now this is working off if gas was $3 a gallon. Bear with me. With my rewards program, instead of $240 a month, it's closer to $230 a month. Again, like I said earlier, this is not buku amounts of dollars that you're going to be saving. You're not going to be Jeff Bezos overnight just because you're saving $10 a month on gas. But I want you to look at it this way. The way that I'm able to look at how I save money and how it benefits me, that $10 a gallon would pay for a Hulu subscription. It almost pays for my Spotify subscription. So essentially, by paying for my gas using the rewards card, I get Hulu for free every month. Let's move on. Tip number 4, let me find my spot here. Tip number 4 is one that I mentioned in my last video. Buy used and refurbished. If you guys haven't watched that video, go watch that after this one. Appease the algorithm, the robot YouTube gods. Buying used and refurbished not only is good for your wallet, it's also good for the planet. We're constantly throwing away all kinds of technology, all kinds of other things, and they end up in landfills and they pollute our seas and pollute our skies, yada, 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 yada. Point is, buying used and refurbished can save you large amounts of money in the long run. The best example that I have is buying my phone used. My phone, MSRP for this phone is $450. I paid $298. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a chunk of change. On top of that, because I bought the phone used and I bought it from an outside source, I didn't have to trade in my old phone in order to be able to get the new phone. I kept my phone. And the reason why is because if this phone shits the bed, I can just swap the SIM card back over to the old phone. I also use it for other things like having a second camera angle for my stream or whatever, but that's beside the point. The point is that you can save stupid amounts of money in the long run as opposed to buying a brand new phone every single time you get a free upgrade from Verizon or T-Mobile, and you're not going to spend large amounts of money on other technology if you buy used and refurbished. The pants that I'm wearing, bought them secondhand. They normally go for like 30 bucks, I think. Got them for $6. Buy used and refurbished, you're gonna save yourself a ton of money. You don't need to spend money on the newest things all the time. There's no reason to buy everything brand new. Okay, last tip, high interest savings accounts. For those of you who don't know, you get paid interest for having your money in a savings account at a bank. Can't confirm that that's all banks, but 90% of banks give you an interest rate and pay you that interest when you save money in their account. The problem with this is a lot of banks give you useless amounts of money. My last bank, for example, the annual interest rate that they paid me was 0.1%. You heard me right, 0.1%. Essentially, doing the math for you, every $100 that I have in that account, over the course of the year, the bank would pay me a whopping 10 cents. Cool, awesome. 50 years ago, you bought me 10 pieces of candy. Now, even expanding that, I had $10,000 in my savings account before I swapped it over to my new account. $10,000 in that account, we're gonna get more interest, right? 0.1%, I'm getting $10 over the course of the year for keeping $10,000 in their account. With a high interest savings account, on the other hand, you're getting a lot more. My current bank account, it's not the highest interest rate, but it's 3.7%. 3.7% as opposed to 0.1%. That's a big difference. That's a 3,700% difference. I might be talking out my ass there. Somebody do the math for me in the comments. The point is that 3.7%, for every $100 that I have in that account, the bank will now pay me $3.70 over the course of the year, as opposed to 10 cents. $3.70 over the course of the year, that's not a lot of money, right? Of course, it's not a lot of money. But with that $10,000 I had in that account, instead of paying me $10 over the course of the year, they paid me $370 in interest. That's no joke. Now, not all banks are created equal. Do your research. Don't just hop into a different bank. I personally just use Capital One. It's my credit card company, so I also just use their savings account. When I first started their savings account, it was 4.25%, which was sweet. It's gone down over time, so it's 3.7%, but it fluctuates, and that's normal. You'll find interest rates fluctuate. But the point is, look into high interest savings accounts. Make your money work for you. Putting money in a savings account that gives you 0.1% interest, that's not even the amount that inflation is on an annual basis. Not counting the last couple of years, it's been a fucking nightmare. But with inflation averaging 2 to 3% per year, you're not going positive, your money's just losing value as it sits in that savings account. Whereas with a high interest savings account, you can at least fight inflation a little bit more. On to the bonus tip, 5.5, so to speak. This last one is not going to be for everyone, and I want you to understand that I am not telling you that this is what you should go and do. For those of you who are financially literate and financially responsible, I highly recommend getting a credit card. Now, for those of you who might be sitting here telling me, I'm never getting a credit card, I don't blame you. I was terrified of credit cards for most of my life. I didn't get my first credit card until I was 25. But what I can tell you is, after getting a credit card and learning about credit cards and understanding credit cards more, I'm not afraid of them anymore. And I haven't swiped my debit card since when I got my identity stolen and they had to lock my credit cards. Now, obviously, there are reasons that credit cards are a problem for people who aren't financially responsible or financially literate. Making a credit card work for you also includes paying it off every month. Paying off your credit card every single month means you're not getting that absurd interest that you're going to be paying off. Some of these credit cards are between like 17% and like 30% interest. You swipe that card and you don't pay it off at the end of the month, you're paying 17 to 30% interest that month off of what was on your card. So the point is, pay it off every month so that way you're not dealing with that. Talking about the benefits, the big benefits of a credit card. Some of you have heard about travel rewards that you get, or points on a credit card. Whenever you swipe the credit card, you get a certain number of points towards your travel or towards cash back. In my case, I don't travel very much, so I use the cash back rewards with my Capital One cards. So with the cash back rewards, the rewards were what got me to look into a credit card again anyway. And how I fixed my fear of credit cards was, instead of looking at them as cash back rewards, I looked at it as a discount. My Capital One Saver card gives me 3% cash back on streaming services, eating out, and groceries. Now, on average, as of late, groceries have been going up in price, and I've been spending, I think, like $300 to $350 a month on my groceries. So essentially, that 3% cash back over the course of the month at the grocery store is giving me enough cash back to be able to pay for Spotify outright. Now, if that doesn't make sense to you, look at it as a 3% discount on your groceries. Why wouldn't you want a discount? Being able to pay 3% less on a bill that you have to pay every month because you have to eat, you can't just not eat. Why wouldn't you take that discount? Now, again, I am not going to tell you to go out and get a credit card. It is a big step. It is a huge deal. Having a credit card can ruin your life if you are not financially literate or financially responsible. Do your research, gain knowledge in order to be able to understand how to use a credit card effectively to benefit you. And the same goes for everything else that I just talked about. This went on a little bit longer than what I intended. I hope that you guys got some valuable information. So with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Have a good one.